Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about why, if this is indeed the end for Konohamaru, who seems to be in the process of getting eaten up by Matsuri, why, if this does end up being the case, then Shikamaru Nara, the acting 8th Hokage of Konoha, might have blood on his hands and should be the one who not only takes the most blame for what happened, but should also feel the most impacted by Konohamaru dying. Now, I know that might come across as something like it's a bit harsh, and I don't say this to dog Shikamaru out. I also know this might feel like, oh my god, that's a stretch to say that Shikamaru could be impacted beyond more than just, whoops, there's another dead Sarutobi. Time to collect the shinobi insurance policy on Konohamaru that Konoha took out on him. Surprised it took him this long to collect. No, I firmly believe this time it is something different, and as I was rereading the manga for a big Shikamaru video that I'm hoping to have out this summer, I found myself thinking twice about the impact that Konohamaru's death might have on Shikamaru. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explain video, where we're going to break down to you why you should be taking a closer look at Shikamaru and his reaction to a potential Konohamaru death. If Konohamaru dies in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, especially in such a deeply tragic and symbolic way, being consumed by Matsuri, the Shinju made from Moegi's chakra, Moegi who's in love with Konohamaru, it would mark yet another painful lesson for Shikamaru and the reality of leadership. This would not just be another loss in the long list of tragedies that Shikamaru endured. It would be the first death under his direct watch as Hokage, reinforcing the heaviest burden of his new role, the inability to save everyone no matter how much that big brain of his strategizes. Why Konohamaru's death would impact Shikamaru deeply is the first thing to look at. So, although Shikamaru and Konohamaru have not had much extensive screen time across Naruto and Boruto Naruto Next Generations, there is an implicit connection between the two of them. Both were born in the same generation. I know some people like to say Konohamaru is part of Boruto's generation, only on the older end. That's not the case. Konohamaru is only a few years younger than Naruto and Shikamaru. Both of them, for the most part, have been in the shadow of Naruto Uzumaki, while Shikamaru became Naruto's most trusted advisor, second in line to be Hokage. Konohamaru modeled himself after Naruto, striving to one day become Hokage. Now in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, that dynamic shifted. Shikamaru is the one Hokage and Konohamaru is not, but instead he seems to be a trusted advisor or an elite shinobi under Shikamaru's command. Unlike the past tragedies that Shikamaru has faced, Konohamaru's death, it will be different because it is Shikamaru who has direct responsibility. As Hokage, he sent Konohamaru on this mission knowing the dangers that were involved, knowing that the complexity of the human heart was there as well. It also would mark the first loss of a contemporary under his role. You have to remember, Asuma was his teacher. Shikamaru, even when he lost his father was in a superior role to him. Neji was more of Naruto's loss than Shikamaru's own. But Konohamaru, he is a peer, he is a friend, he is a comrade from his generation. It is deeply ironic and it is tragic. Shikamaru gave Konohamaru the warning about Matsuri, hinting at the link between the creature's feelings for him and Moegi's own feelings. If Konohamaru dies because of his own failure to acknowledge his feelings for Moegi and did not realize that he might feel something for her until right when Matsuri's like, Konohamaru-chan, he's like, oh my god, Moegi used to say that about me, my little pee-pee got hard. If Konohamaru dies because of his own failures here, then Shikamaru will have to live with the knowledge that he saw the signs, but he couldn't stop it. This would be a profound moment of realization for Shikamaru, one that would likely make him question whether or not he even wants to continue being Hokage. This is also a reoccurring theme and lesson that Shikamaru has been learning since he became a chunin in Naruto Part 1. Shikamaru has learned this painful lesson over and over and over again, just taught to him in different ways. the Sasuke retrieval mission in part 1. He nearly got his entire team killed, and he had to be told by Temari and his father to suck it up, because that's what it means to be a leader. That's what it means to be a shinobi. There are going to be missions that you take with people where they're not going to make it out of there, and you might make a bad call, and guess what? You got to live with it. Then you get to Asuma's death that happened in Naruto Part 2. He was directly entrusted with his master's life. Asuma's like, man, you guys can trust Shikamaru. I'm going to trust he's got a plan. And then all of a sudden, Hidan decided to start poking himself, and Asuma killed over and died. In hindsight, gave Asuma the opportunity to skip out on child support payments. No, that's foul to say, but it's true. And as a result, Shikamaru's big brain, it tried and it tried and it tried and it tried, but it failed to save his master when it needed it. And as a result, he had to look Mirai in the face for years, training her as both her godfather and her sensei, which that is a heavy burden. Every time you see Mirai and she's looking at you with those eyes and saying, big brother Shikamaru, you got to think to yourself, I'm the reason you grew up without a daddy. He can't use the excuse that daddy went to go get milk and never came home. When you get to Shikamaru's father's death and the Fourth Great Ninja War, his loss of his father so suddenly, and it forced him to take command. It forces Shikamaru to start taking all the lessons that his father gave him, not the lesson to make sure that he does not hide his porn collection in a spot where his wife can find it, and he has to tell Shikamaru as his last words, like, hey, make sure you get those magazines. You know the one I'm talking about. Your mom, she can't see them. It's one of those things where jokes aside, and that's not even a joke, that's a canon event, but it's one of those things where Shikamaru understands that from that lesson, life puts you in a position where you don't get the opportunity to say, I'm not ready. You have to step up. Then when you get to Boruto Naruto Next Generations, or what people like to refer to as Boruto Part 1, Naruto and Hinata's quote-unquote death, Shikamaru had to accept that even the strongest shinobi in history was not invincible. He's learning repeatedly that you cannot save people, and even the people that you don't think need to be saved, sometimes they can't save themselves. Each of these moments, they have hardened Shikamaru. They have shaped him to a degree. They have forced him to grow and to step up, oftentimes when he did not want to do it. It's one of the reasons I am so fascinated by his Hokage journey, because he is a reluctant leader. He never wanted the position, and Asuma said it. You would make a good Hokage, but you might not like the work that comes with it. And even Temari said it, basically like, hey, you'll make a great Kage one day. He is forced to wear that cloak even though he does not want it. But being Hokage, this is different. Losing shinobi under his command as a chunin or as a jonin, that's different than being the guy that calls the shots. It's not just a lesson about enduring personal losses. It's about making life and death decisions for others and living with the consequences. It takes a very, very different person, built mentally tough in ways that Shikamaru has some of those aspects, but at the same time, Shikamaru, for as much as I like to joke and say he's Danzo 2.0, Shikamaru is a softy at heart. And for the Hokage position, for as many flaws as Naruto has, for as many flaws as Kakashi had, they are two people who mentally, they have the fortitude to live with the conviction of their decisions. It's easy to say what you would do when thrust into that spot, but you never truly know until you are put in that position where lives are in the balance. We know that Shikamaru said that he would not turn on Boruto now that he knows that Boruto's innocent, but can Shikamaru live with putting a shinobi in harm's way? Can he live with putting a friend in harm's way? It's different than random shinobi 8537 gets killed because exploding kunai than it is to have to think back at all the memories that you have of somebody that you watched grow up, somebody from your own generation who you know has hopes and dreams that have never been fulfilled. In the case of Konohamaru, his hopes and dreams were becoming Hokage and losing his virginity. If Konohamaru does die, it will be a lesson that hits him harder than ever before. As Hokage, he will have to sign the death report. As Hokage, he's going to have to be the one that tells, I guess, Mirai, because Konohamaru is dying a virgin, doesn't have a baby or a wife anywhere. He's gonna have to tell Mirai, hey, your cousin's dead, and I'm the reason why he's dead. He's got something to talk about when he meets Asuma and Ninja Heaven. Like, hey man, how'd you die? I was on a mission, Shikamaru get. Okay, Asuma's like, man, totally makes sense. He's gonna have to inform Moegi at the same time. Like, yeah, we got you unsealed out that tree, but hey, you know that Shinju that was made from your chakra? Yeah, well, she killed Konohamaru. Funeral Saturday at 12. Bring your own dishes because that's a potluck. We got budget problems. I'm sorry, Konohamaru fans had to do it. So he will also have to face the people who care for Konohamaru, all 7 of them, knowing that his leadership is what put him in harm's way. You also have Buddhist teachings. So in Buddhist teachings, it talks about suffering as a path to wisdom. Buddhist teaches that suffering, it is inevitable, but also necessary for enlightenment. In this case, Shikamaru's suffering would not be meaningless. It would be another step on his journey toward truly understanding what it means to be Hokage. Impermanence, which is the belief of Anika, it's the belief that nothing lasts forever, not even the people we love. No matter how much we try to prevent death, it comes in unexpected ways. This is a lesson that Shikamaru has learned before, but as Hokage, it now applies on a scale that he's never experienced before. You also have samsara, the cycle of suffering and rebirth. Every time Shikamaru has lost someone, he has had to rebuild himself even stronger. This is another cycle, one that either will make or break him to be more resolute as a Hokage and as a leader. You also have the concepts of acceptance and detachment. As Hokage, Shikamaru must accept death as part of the duty without being consumed by guilt. If Shikamaru cannot accept Konohamaru's potential death, he risks making reckless decisions in the future, which could lead to an even greater loss. Just as Shikamaru learned from losing Asuma that he had to pass on knowledge to the next generation, Konohamaru's death could force him to reflect on what kind of Hokage he wants to be. Does he want to continue leading it all, knowing that he might lose more comrades? Does he pass that mantle off to Kakashi? Does he pass it back to Naruto when Naruto gets unsealed? Or will this be a moment that makes him question how far he's come and whether or not he can go even further? In conclusion, I'll say this. Shikamaru right now, he is a poster child for the burden of hope. Shikamaru already bears more losses than a lot of shinobi, especially in this new era. For as cold and calculated as he comes across, we know from the epilogue stories that even though he was not the reason that Neji died, he still thinks about Neji's death. It's something that haunts Shikamaru and Naruto, even in this Boruto era. But being Hokage means bearing the weight of not just personal losses, but the lives of every shinobi in the village. And that is something that Tamari and Shikamaru's father were trying to teach him all the way back in part 1. They saw that Kage potential in him even when he himself never saw it. If Shikamaru is the reason that Konohamaru goes on his mission, which he's on right now, and he does end up dying, it will be one of the most personal losses that he's ever suffered, because it is the first loss he suffered as a leader, forcing him to reckon with the truth that no amount of intelligence or planning and strategizing, no amount of knowing all these possible outcomes with 10 directions can change the fact that Hokage or not, he cannot protect everyone. It would push him into a moment of potential existential crisis, one where he must decide whether he can endure more losses for the sake of Konoha, or if the burden of being Hokage is something that he is unwilling to carry any longer, and he's going to have to endure and suffer while he endures until omnipotence can be reversed, Naruto can get unsealed, and Naruto can either return as the Hokage or someone else takes the Hokage position after Shikamaru. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out more videos from Naruto Explained by clicking here on the left, or check out these videos from my Anime Explained channel where I talk about non-Naruto content in the form of video essays, chapter reviews, lore videos, and so much more.